In this video, we're going to talk about how using the best models doesn't necessarily mean the best performance. Great example of that is Opus 4.7 just came out, and a lot of Claude Code users aren't seeing a dramatic difference in output. Not because the model isn't better, even though I've got some stuff to say about that, but because what matters more now is the machinery around it, the harness. So we're going to talk about what exactly that means and some practical steps you can take today to start building your own setup and stop relying so heavily on new model releases to build your workflows. Let's get into it. Okay, every time a new model comes out, everybody is the exact same thing, whether it's Anthropic, OpenAI, or Google. Everybody's like, wow, look at these big numbers. Look at how many bold black numbers there are, right? This is a little bit different these days because this is actually Anthropic's second best model, but that's another video as well. But the internet does the exact same thing. It's like, there we go. Opus 4.7 dominates, or like, wow, this can actually do this now, or this is insane, right? But like in practice, this doesn't fundamentally change anything. The way you're thinking about models is fundamentally incorrect. A lot of folks see these big numbers and they're thinking better brain equals better outcomes, but that's not how it works in practice. So check this out. All right, I just want to start with this, and that Langchain's coding agent went from number 30 to number 5 on terminal bench, and they didn't change the model. They jumped almost 15% in execution without changing anything but the harness. So if you think the model is the biggest driver behind these benchmark results, how did changing the harness have such a huge impact on performance? Anthropic themselves said in March that the harness design is the key to performance on the frontier of agentic coding. Harness matters more than the model. Okay, so we got to get into what that actually means. The best way to think about it is the model, the LLM itself, is like the pilot. Okay, I was explaining it to my kids because we're into Gundam and robots and stuff, and it's like, okay, so that's the pilot, and the harness is everything around it, is like the actual machinery. Okay, so this is a really good diagram of what this looks like from Langchain, where the model is reasoning and decides. It's like the CPU alone from your motherboard, for example. Okay, it can't do anything until you plug it in and you give it RAM and you give it like a GPU, and it knows how to like access this stuff, but outside of the body it's kind of useless. So the harness is literally everything else. It's your system prompts that you're injecting, it's memory, skills, orchestration, file systems. The model is just the one part that like reaches out and touches these different things. Okay, I'm kind of mixing metaphors here, but like bear with me. If you give a really good pilot super bad machinery, you know what I mean? Like bad feedback, super chaotic environment, you don't get magically great task execution. You get a really smart thing dealing with a very bad situation. That's the part most people are glossing over, is this looks fantastic on the chart, on the graph, right? But if the environment, if the machinery is bad, it leads to super inefficient model use. And what we're seeing a lot with Opus 4.7 is gross inconsistencies. Like the highs are really high, but the lows are really low. There's actually a lot of papers to back this up. There's a report that I pulled from the Tsinghua University. I bet you I said that wrong, but essentially they ran some tests on the effects of the agent harness on models. They ran the exact same benchmark on the same model. Okay, so this was Codex 5.4 on max reasoning, and I've got this report. I'll leave it in the description, but I turned it into an infographic so that we could, just see it better. Full agent harness with all 6 modules active used 16.3 million prompt tokens, 642 tool calls, and it took 32 minutes. The basic LLM with just the tools used 1.2 million tokens, 51 tool calls, and got it done in less than 7 minutes. The question this raises, obviously, is this even helping? So by these metrics, this is 14 times more compute for absolute minimal improvement in performance. A little more than 1%, which has got to be within the margin of error on these things anyway. So like, moot. So we're coming full circle, and this is where the problem comes in with Claude Code, is because it's starting to suck. And if you've been following this at all, you know that every day or two there's some new feature, some extension, some plugin, something that's being added to Claude Code, and all of that is just bloat and overhead that you might not even use. Some of these are cool, some of these are absolutely useful, but you don't need to wire this into your harness for every single call. It's just like we saw over here, 16 million prompt tokens for the same task. We're not using all of these things every single call, but we're still paying for them in compute. Real quick, if you're finding anything useful, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. That really helps me grow the channel. Let's get back into it. We know that there's a sweet spot in terms of context and model performance, but we also know that model performance degrades over longer context windows. So like I said, this is where performance starts to really take a hit if you are using a harness that is so heavy and bloated, even with a really good model, right? And this Langchain diagram does a really great job of explaining how this works, where you are injecting all of that context and tokens from all these different features that you're using on your Claude Code harness before you even prompt the agent with anything. That's why we're seeing inconsistencies and performance degradations on these big, heavy harnesses. Going back to the metaphor of our LLM being a pilot, it's driving this giant ship through an active dogfight or something. Like there's a lot of different things going on that it's got to react to that may not be relevant to the end goal. But even more than these model launch papers being a little misleading and the harness mattering significantly, another downside to some of these closed source harnesses is you don't really own anything and you're locked in. Just like I said, all of the other aspects of your AI agent outside of the LLM are part of the harness. So that includes short-term and long-term memory. So if you're using any of these models on the provider's native backend or whatever, right, you're storing all of this context on their server, right? And if you want to swap models and resume that conversation, that's no longer possible through that thread. The absolute worst is if you're using a closed harness like the Claude Agents SDK, you have absolutely no idea how your LLM interacts with your memory, right? That's closed and you don't know. Like it could be exposing something via API, you have no idea. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, and that is the absolute worst. Closed harnesses and putting everything behind the API creates lock-in. All these providers are incredibly incentivized to do this because it means you're just going to keep paying for their subscription, right? And they're hiding this behind, you know, new cool features that you must have and a lot of different hype behind Claude Code, whatever. Like a great example that they mentioned here is Claude Managed Agents, which everybody is celebrating, but it just means that they're putting all of these different tool calls and all these different things behind their API, meaning that you are locked into their platform to continue running these things. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not really down with that. I'm gonna link this whole article down in the description because I agree with absolutely everything they're saying here. So what this actually means as a whole is like, even though you get these super baller models coming out with like big impressive numbers, is that they actually feel dumber because the harnesses are getting really, really bad. People are putting together the harnesses in a really sloppy way, and they're ensuring that you are married to this harness or to this platform because they're putting out all these different features that feel awesome, but are actually just bogging down the entire process. I'm not saying Anthropic is uniquely bad, even though Anthropic is uniquely bad. I'm saying that the best way to get around this and to make sure that you have portability in your setups is to own the harness, is to make sure that you can engineer your environment so you're not putting a really great pilot in a really terrible machine, because that's exactly what's happening. The Claude Code harness I used to really like, but it's starting to suck. So what do I suggest we do about this? I suggest, and I think this is a really unique opportunity, not to go down some crazy rabbit hole about how to build out a really complicated harness, but to start from zero and just design something that works specifically for you, that you have control over, and not be so reliant on super bloated platforms provided by Anthropic and Google and all these other guys. My solution to this came in the form of the Pi agent. Pi is a minimal terminal coding harness, and you can adapt it to your workflows, not the other way around. So you can extend this with TypeScript extensions, skills, prompt templates. You can bring in all the workflows that you had built out from Anti-Gravity or Claude Code or Codex or whatever, and turn them into packages that Pi can run the exact same way. The difference here is it doesn't come with all these bloated features that you might not need. This is completely open and you design it around what you actually want. I've got a whole video that I did the other day setting up the Pi agent, but I've also got a GitHub gist that I will leave a link to in the description that'll help you walk through and get through this, but I'll show you quickly how this is different. You can set this up exactly the way that you want. The beautiful part here is I've built this out to include the things that I did like from Claude Code and Anti-Gravity and nothing else. So this is incredibly efficient. It's got a ticker here at the bottom to show you the context window and exactly how much money you've spent. You can also log in with your different providers, right? So I go, except for Anthropic because they hate you, but you can log in with your Anti-Gravity subscription, ChatGPT Plus, which is what I'm gonna do here. And then you just like go and log in through the browser windows. So you can use your OAuth with ChatGPT and Google as far as I know. And you can also use your OpenRouter API key. So you can see I can run Codex through my OpenAI subscription, which is fantastic. And I can also run a list of other models through my OpenRouter API, which is fantastic, especially when you wanna just keep the work going in the same environment. I'm not slowed down by session limits or rate limits. I can just go /model, change it right there. And I can also see in real time how much money I am spending on compute and whatnot. The biggest takeaway from this video isn't that models don't matter, because they do. It's just that if you're using Claude Code and expecting Opus 4.7 to drastically change everything for you, you're gonna be disappointed. Really what you need to do is consider and make a choice about the environment you want these agents to work in, and whether all these, you know, quote unquote improvements and features are worth being locked behind a subscription or Anthropic's black box or whatever it is you wanna call it. Not, is this model better? It's, how are we using it? So all references and resources will be linked in the description or pinned comment. You can also get the exact Obsidian environment that I was using today through my school community, which is also down there. Thanks for hanging out. Can't wait to see you in the next one.